across the back? No? Okay. Do I hear a second for that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, any further discussion before we vote?
Can we put any type of wording in that motion that encourages them to put that buffer to the back against the residential properties?
Yes, you can.
And what would, how would,
Well,
what would I word it?
I don't think we can because the water, it's a non-conforming use.
Yeah, you can always,
Force them to-
you can certainly encourage. You can't
That's
require.
what we're doing.
I don't know if you.
I think that's what you're recommending.
Okay, well, they've already stated that they're going
For aesthetics value, nothing else.
to.
The other thing to keep in mind is that these properties on 25th Street are significantly lower than the properties on 26, as I recall. And not only do you have that kind of wall of soil buffer, but you also have their retaining wall.
Okay, well then I'd like to amend it to add that we encourage the property owner to create some kind of green space buffer area behind these
Across the
storage
back.
buildings.
Is that back parking lot, is that paved now or no? Okay, all right. Okay. Okay. Okay, everybody understand that now?
I'm good with that.
Okay, any further discussion on it? Do you want to for the supervisors?
Yes.
Right? Denise,
So, currently, the motion that I have written down is that you're making a motion to recommend approval of the request with the conditions that one, the front green space or buffer be expanded to at least 10 feet, as well as add the planting buffers on the east.
Yes.
And encourage additional buffering in the rear of the property, I guess would be the north of the property.
Yes. Now, again, that would probably require moving those,
And the parking space.
two of those sheds out of the
I
way, or,
don't think so.
you know,
I don't think so.
to get enough space back there, but the property line, but that's for the surveyors to worry
You know,
about.
this buffer might be this big, I don't,
Well, yeah.
you know.
Okay, does everybody understand the,
Yes.
okay. Any further discussion? Sir?
Yes, existing buffer zones, those drop trailers that are under the property line, what is the current position of the township as to how close it could be to the property line?
How close, what could be to the property line?
The drop trailers.
Storage.
Okay, all right. Being that they're not permanent structures, they're fine actually where they are right now. Am I correct in that?
Yes,
Oh,
that
there
is
it is.
correct. The structures do exist in the rear buffer.
All right, they're not permanent
They're not
structures,
permanent, They're not permanent and are permitted to be there.
so there's no,
And they're grandfathered.
in their they're grandfathered in, but
Well, yeah, they're grandfathered there, and agree with you. The present ordinance is the 25-foot that we were talking about buffer zone.
yes, sir.
So we extend the building
It's
that
35,
far along, you certainly don't want those moved to that new area, because they would encroach on the 25-foot buffer area.
no, it's 35 feet
It's 35 feet from the back of the
between the
building.
new building and the property line.
Yeah.
There is no buffer.
Not in the.
Not presently, no.
No. But what you're,
There is a brand new building.
Correct.
what
Yes,
you're
sir.
saying is, from the new building to the property, back property line would then be 35 feet. It's now, I don't know how much it is now, but it's way more than 35 feet. All right,
It's the
anyway,
same
call for
distance as the
question.
existing building is from the property line, essentially, within a couple inches probably.
Well, I meant from here to there is way over 35 feet.
Sir, I think, if I understand your question correctly, if there's a property that's adjoining yours, if there's a property that is adjoining your property, and they go, you know, infringes upon the existing buffer because it had pre-existed, if the distance, you know, if it doesn't have a buffer in it and they want to add something to the back, that would create a non-conform, that would create a problem. That would not be an extension of an existing building that's creating a new nonconformity, because it would be increasing the nonconformity. Correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, but that's, I think, how we've interpreted that in the past.
Correct, correct.
So if there's an existing nonconformity, say here's the back of the building and here's your property line, and now you're going to take something and add it to here, you can't go that way because of the buffer that exists. You can go this way because it's along the same plane, but you can't make it smaller. If that helps explain the question you had.
What we're saying.
No, I'm sure he doesn't.
Okay, well, anyways, I call for the question. I think.
Okay. Does that satisfy you, sir? Okay, all right. All right, all comments have been made. I'll ask for approval as written. All in favor? Aye. 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 Ray? Aye. Tony?
Aye.
Aye. And I'm an aye. Okay, thank you very much. The township will be contacting you, I'm sure. Thank you. That's just a recommendation now to the supervisors. Okay, the other item on the list on our agenda tonight is for the a discussion and not discussion necessarily, but the amendment to the comprehensive plan. Make our formal recommendation after or at this meeting tonight to incorporate the Presque Isle Gateway District Plan into Embrace Millbrook and update the future land use map to be consistent with the zoning map in accordance with Act 247 of 1968 as amended in the Municipal Planning Code, known as the MPC.
What, didn't we do this last meeting?
Not,
Yes, tonight is.
tonight is when we need a formal recommendation. We
discussed
just briefly touched on it at the last meeting, but as a result of this meeting, we need a recommendation.
Okay.
And we're, just hold on just for a minute there, please. Yes, sir.
This time I just think, this time entertain public comment
Okay, all right.
regarding the amendments.
Okay, sir, come on up here, please, and give us your name and address.
My name is Carl Hebert. My address is 10784 Mohawk Road, Cranesville, Pennsylvania. I'm speaking on behalf of myself, my wife, my brother, his sister, my brother-in-law, and his wife. We are owners of registered timberland in Millbrook and Bell Valley. And I've got questions about the land use. First of all, I see the definitions of each category, okay? But where do I find out what is permitted under each one of those categories? Is there a difference in what you can do in conservation and preservation categories for future land use?
You're talking about yeah, you're talking about the zoning map with the various denotations for what the area is for, or what it's classified as.
On the current zoning map.
Yes.
Okay.
So the future use map does not change the current zoning map. That's a true statement?
And I think in a couple instances, it changed a couple things. That seems too small.
May,
A couple
may I
things
interject?
on the map have changed over the last few months, yes.
May I interject?
Yes.
The future land use map is part of the comprehensive plan, and it's a planning tool that helps dictate the zoning district, the zoning map. Even if the future land use map changes, it does not affect the permitted uses in the underlying district. The zoning map and the future land use map are two separate documents. The future land use map is passed by resolution. The zoning map is an ordinance.
Okay, an ordinance is law.
Correct.
Okay, the reason I ask is because this property has been timbered since at least going back to 1950 when my father-in-law cut wood for him and so he cut it. We manage it very, very strictly. The late Tom Erdman was the forester for Erie County. Tom told me he'd never seen a piece of woods that had that much diversity in the timber. And that's because we manage. We don't cut it to make a profit. When we cut it to make a profit, it's a much smaller profit than most logging companies do. So my concern with this map shows our property as preservation, when in fact we are registered under the Clean and Green rule and have been under that since, well, for a couple of over 2 decades. And this has been, in the past, it has been treated as an agricultural land. Timber is a crop, it just takes 15 years for the crop to mature, or 20. And this is going to be property going to remain in trust for our children and our children's children. Setting that up, we're looking at different lawyers and laws. It is in trust right now, but we want to do some other things.
Can you show us where your property is up there?
It's right adjacent to Headwater.
Okay,
It's right here.
Bell Valley,
Big part.
just north of the interstate.
And I would like to add that the zoning map, the zoning ordinance actually permits silviculture, forestry, in all zoning districts. So I understand your concern, it would not affect your operation.
Well, I'll tell you what, the last time it was timbered, it helped put my daughter through the medical program.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to see that go to my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that
That's worth,
zoning hasn't changed, so you can still do what you've done to that property historically.
You're managing the property when you're,
Yes,
when
we
you're,
are.
when you're timbering and taking the mature trees out and allowing the younger ones to grow, that's
we
managing their
don't need
land.
to take all the mature trees out. I can give
Well, I'm
you-
just saying, you know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying.
You're
No,
managing the property.
We manage it very well. My brother-in-law is taking courses at Penn State. He's a retired engineer at the National Engineering. He's taking courses at Penn State in forestry and timber management. I get into the land management part of it because I'm old and he's not.
Yeah.
Okay, now, how were these different categories determined? I see the definition, and I see conservation and preservation, but who and how did you decide, or anybody, whoever it was, who decided and how was it decided what is conservation and what is preservation? Who made that decision? How did they do it?
That decision was made during the comprehensive plan update, which was about two and a half year process. It was through, the township, their consultant, public input.
Where are these people
I'll look into it.
when you're developing
Okay,
this
so
stuff? I mean,
it
geez.
says that the definition of
He
the,
lives in Centerville.
Hmm?
of
He
the
lives in
preservation,
Centerville, why would you know?
says it's,
Well, I mean, it's valley, but it's kind of late for the party.
Where do I find the environmental studies that were done on these properties to illustrate the difference? I couldn't find them in the document.
I honest, they may not exist. I don't have that, honestly, I don't have that information in front of me.
Matt, for purposes of zoning, is there a distinction between the two?
No, no.
So what you need to understand, sir, this is a guide, this document, this comprehensive, the comprehensive plan documents. We have subsequently passed, approved and passed a zoning ordinance that used this as a guide to determine how to identify the different districts that we've established. One of those districts is conservation residential, which essentially it equates to most of the undeveloped areas of the township. I believe that your forestry operation is within one of those areas that have been identified as conservation residential, which specifically allows forestry as one of the permitted uses of that property. The purpose of this exercise, frankly, is to amend the comprehensive plan map, future land use map, to be consistent with what ultimately was passed as the zoning map.
Okay, well, our timber operation is an ongoing timber.
Yeah, and it shouldn't affect you at all.
Years, as long as no one ever tries to interfere with that or with our property,
It shouldn't affect you at all. You can go on the way you've always gone on. Nothing has changed.
then nothing will change.
Conservation,
I can't predict the future. I can assure you that I doubt in the near future it's not going to change.
I was born and raised in Mount Alley. My family goes back to before the Civil War in there. My great-grandfather owned land, and my great-grandmother, great-great-grandfather lived there. So I've got some deep roots, and I know a bunch of this land, and I see stuff that is conservation. I say, that isn't any different from our property. I know that wouldn't be any different from our property. That's why I'm asking these questions, to see why it was,
Again, the lines aren't always, drawn, specifically in terms of meets and bounds. And a zoning map is intended to give a, general boundary of what you can do within those areas. So there may be some areas that you think, well, maybe why wasn't that, conservation residential, or maybe why is that conservation residential? So it's just part of the process of evaluating, where these areas should be. And as I indicated, most of the conservation residential areas really equated to areas of the township where there hasn't been heavy development. It's not an area where you see a lot of, subdivisions or a lot of commercial, areas. It wouldn't affect your clean and green at all. That's a wholly separate program.
it's a state program.
Correct. Nothing we do can impact whether you qualify for clean and green or not. The state decides that
Okay,
under their rules.
okay.
Then they don't let us tell them what to do.
No, they don't.
No, they don't.
Okay. Well, I mean, one family member wanted to build a house on it at one point in time. Under clean and green, you're allowed to do.
Correct.
One building on.
And under conservation residential, you're allowed to have single-family homes.
So this would not affect that either? if
No.
someone made that decision.
Correct.
You know, if someone raises that question again, I intend to vote no. We'll leave it on there.
under the Clean and Green Act, as I know it, if the house was built on that property, I guess, I'm thinking it's an acre of the land that the house is sitting on, would be removed from the Clean and Green thing, I think, but I'm not sure.
No, clean and green allows you to build one house and or other buildings. Generally, they're used for the ongoing, production of crops or whatever. Okay? If you subdivide that and build a house an apartment building or something like that, then you drop out of clean and green and you're going to owe all the taxes that were not paid, plus
Need to be brought to
interest
date,
and
yes.
penalty.
Yes.
And no one in their right mind wants to go down that road.
No.
And we've pretty much prevented any development of that.
Okay, so
Am I
what
allowed
the,
to ask questions of the
what the
supervisor?
conservation district here is doing is preserving that land for your grandchildren and their children, essentially, that they can't be mutilated beyond a point.
Under the preservation, our property is listed as preservation.
Yes.
So that's the reason for that.
The two are pretty heavily intertwined.
Pardon?
I said the two of them, conservation and preservation, are pretty heavily intertwined. Yes, they are.
Yeah, again, you need to remember, sir, that the future land use map isn't a enforceable type document. It's simply saying, here's kind of what we would like to see in the future. It's the zoning ordinance map that is the enforceable document, and that's the one to look to determine whether or not the use that you want to make of your property comports with the uses that are identified, you know, with that particular use identified on the map. So again, conservation residential includes, you know, forestry, includes single-family homes, you know, includes those types of things with,
Conservation, they could build multiple houses if they want.
well, but it has to be within, I think there's, you know, certain sizes and so forth, so that it,
Lot acreage.
right, there are ratios that have to be met in order to, you know, to build on those that hopefully result in more open space than you may find in other areas of the township. And you can, you know, again, you know, this ordinance or this resolution will be before the supervisors in 2 weeks, and you're welcome to,
On the 11th?
yeah, you're welcome to come and voice any concerns you may have. That's I think a 9:30 meeting on the 11th, yes.
And I would be allowed to speak then?
Yes,
Yes.
I'll let you close the meeting. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anything else you want to discuss here tonight, sir? Okay. I then will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Gene,
Whoop, stand by.
we need
Stand by.
recommendations on the resolution, and the Greenway plan and the,
I guess I'm too excited about it. Sorry about that. Okay, yeah, right. I'll entertain a motion. I'll entertain a motion to recommend approval to the supervisor for the next following meeting as written, or as
So moved.
amended. We have a so move and we have a second so move. Okay, a second. Any further discussion between the members of the commission here? Okay, all in favor of recommending, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any noes? No. Okay, very good, thank you. Now, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
We stand adjourned at 6:21 and a half. And thank you for your involvement.
You ran a good meeting.
hey, Gene, you want a copy of this from the QLN guys so you can show your wife that you wanted to get out of here so quickly so you could see her?